All right. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Economic Development Committee will be conducted by remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Town of Southborough's website at www.southboroughtown.com. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch or participate in the meeting may do so in the following manner: by finding the meeting at www.southboroughtown.com/remote meetings. No in-person attendance of member of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on Southborough's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. All right, so I'm going to call the meeting to order at 8:22. First thing on the agenda is the chair report, which is me. So this week, Rob, myself, Marika, Karina.
Sorry, John. I
yes.
just need to interrupt. I think you have the wrong agenda, because there's a revised meeting agenda.
Okay.
So the first item would be just the administrative business to kind of approve all the documents.
Oh, okay. Can you? Yep. I'm sorry, I don't have that. I apologize.
Yeah. So I'll.
Which is the first document?
So the first one would be approval of minutes for June 12th, December 4th, and December 10th.
Okay, I don't have the June 12th. I have the December 10th and 4th. Does everybody else seen the June 12th as well?
Yeah, that was sent with the with
in the
all
meeting
the
invite, I
other
think.
information. So you should have the June 12th. That was the one sent with the invitation, with the meeting invitation.
Okay.
I don't know if everyone else is missing that one.
Well, I can look at that one real quick, but can I get a motion on the ones I have that I've read? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of December 4th and December 10th as written? Anybody?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, do I have a second? Anyone?
Hold on, I think I had one comment. Sorry, I'm just pulling it up.
If I get a second, then we can have discussion.
Okay, sure.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Seconded by Julie. Any discussion? And Julie, you said you had a comment on one of them?
Yeah, on the December 4th, I was just thinking, so under the coordinator report, we talk about ongoing grants, and then it says all other equipment has been ordered. And I know what that means, but I think just maybe adding a little bit more detail about what equipment has been ordered and what it relates to or something, just because if someone was reading it out of context.
Yeah, I agree.
It could be just clear. That's all.
Agreed on that. Anybody else have anything else on that one? Okay. Marika, can you ask Taylor to make that correction on that one?
Yeah.
Anything on the December 10th minutes, anybody? Okay, gonna do a roll call vote to accept the minutes of December 4th with Julie's recommendation. Michael?
Yes.
Suzanne?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Yes.
And myself, aye. Okay, so 4th. On December 10th with no corrections. Same thing. Michael?
I'm going to abstain. I was not on that one.
Okay. Suzanne?
Yes.
All right. Chris? I'm sorry, not Chris. Rob?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And myself, yes. So that one passes. I'm still trying to pull up the 12th, so I have not looked at that one yet. But I can just hold off on that one. Anybody have any comments on, do I have a motion to accept the minutes of June 12th?
I'll
Anyone?
make that motion.
Thank you, Rob. How about a second? Anyone?
I'll second.
Thank you. Second by Michael. Have you guys all read it?
No, sorry, I was just trying to pull that one up real quick. I don't remember if I looked at it. When was that sent?
I don't know. I haven't found it yet either.
I think it was either in the invite for this week or last week.
Oh, it was
Yeah,
in
I
the
think both. It
Both.
should have been part of the meeting invitation.
Yeah. And this is our meeting with Adam Costa when we.
Yeah, so it's.
Oh, okay, I got it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Sorry, I didn't look at it yet, but I can look at it real quick. Right? Sorry about that. That was my bad.
Okay, I just found it as well. I was looking in the wrong place. I don't think I was at this one.
This
You're
was
listed as present.
the one, I think you were. This was the one where Adam Costa was speaking, was invited and spoke about the zoning.
I think you may have left early, John.
Yes, it says so in the note.
Yep. You left at 12.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
No, I got it now, too.
I'm good. Sorry.
All right. Do I have a motion to accept him as written?
So moved.
All right. Second?
Second.
Second.
All right. So any discussion? All right. I'm going to do a roll call. See how I see it here again. What's going on? My phone. Sorry, I'm doing it to do something totally different, and it's not really fun. All right, Julie,
Yes.
Suzanne,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
and myself. Yes, passed unanimously. All right, Marika, on that same email, is that does that one have the corrected, updated agenda, the revised one? Or am I looking at the wrong one still? Oh, that's still the wrong one.
Okay,
One that came with today's invite.
I guess the next thing on the agenda is approval of the EDC 2020 annual report, which would also be included in that meeting invitation.
By the way, you did a great job on that, Marika.
Thank you.
That's fantastic. It's fantastic.
It's nice to actually like remember. Wow, we got a lot done this year,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Considering this year was this year, we were awesome.
right? All right. Do I have a motion to accept the annual report as written?
So moved.
I have a second.
Second.
All right, Marika. First off, before we even go through this, kudos again. This is a lot of work, and we're so lucky to have you, and I appreciate this. And
Thank you. So next thing, approval of the.
wow, we haven't finished. We haven't taken the vote on this yet. I was
Oh,
just
sorry.
giving you kudos first. All
I
right,
just
so
want
we
to
will
move
now.
along.
Take your kudos and go.
So, Michael, since you're the first one that popped up.
Yes.
All right, Julie,
Yes.
Suzanne,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
myself, John Wood, yes. Approved unanimously. Thank you, Marika. Again, great job. Next on the agenda, Marika?
Next is the EDC newsletter for January, which I would like to send out, when is it? Next week. So it has the, I guess, the EDC update, and then it has a very lengthy, I guess it's not an article, it's basically information that I wanted to share about the state legislation, about the 3 bills that will be approved, because I think it might be helpful for other town departments and committees to kind of be informed and be prepared on what kind of grants will be coming out of that. So I know it's kind of long, but I thought it would be, people can just, skim through it and see what would be of interest to their own department. So I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I think that legislation is one of the most important things that's passed out of Boston for a long time, especially having to do with the zoning and special permits. The fact that it's a simple majority as opposed to a 2/3 vote, it applies to not only the special permits, but also applies to the zoning. So when we're bringing forward this mixed use zoning for the downtown, we can get it passed with a simple majority as opposed to that 2/3 vote. And then when a project is submitted for the downtown, once again, simple majority as opposed to a 2/3 vote. This is something that's been too long to pass, and it's a great thing for the state of Massachusetts. So I think its inclusion is really important.
Thank you.
I have one, yeah, it's huge legislation. I have one suggestion for the zoning piece of it, and this is sort of hot off the press stuff that we're going to talk about today that you wouldn't have known about because this came out of my and Claire and Lisa's conversation from like 6 o'clock last night. So one, I don't know if it's not official yet, but it's all but certain that town meeting's not happening in March. So I might take that piece out. And then I would add that, and we'll talk about this at the meeting, but we're going to put together a forum on the zoning in the coming week or two. That sort of, we can hash out more, but I would suggest replacing us being concerned about a tight schedule for March with the forum piece, because there's no way town meeting's happening in March. They haven't set a new date yet, but it's not.
I heard closer to May. Is that what you heard as well?
I didn't get any specifics, but it was late spring.
I didn't hear that from any officials. I just heard that from somebody who heard that.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything on the record because I don't know any more than it sounds like they're discussing moving it, and March is highly unlikely.
Okay.
Which, I mean, I think that's not a surprise. So.
Okay.
All right. So maybe we can change that after we can.
Yeah.
You want to table this till after the meeting then to vote on this, Marika or Julie? Because if we're going to.
Well, I think we can. I mean, if everyone agrees, and if no one has any other comments, we can vote on it subject to those changes.
Okay. Do I have a motion to amend it with Julie's changes and then vote it in?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, seconded by Michael. All right, any discussion? So what was your change you want to change on, Julie? And what page?
The third bullet point in the first section, I would remove that and replace it with something to be determined after we flesh it out a little bit more, but we're gonna host a public forum on the zoning bylaw before the public hearing.
Okay.
Or that's at least, if our committee agrees to it, that's what I wanted to discuss today. Without being presumptuous. But it looks great, Marika. It looks so sharp. I love the heading and everything, and the information's awesome. So thank you.
So you want to remove that we're concerned about the schedule for March, or just we're concerned, can we leave though we're still concerned about having the schedule ready for town meeting?
I don't think we, I mean, if I don't think we're really far off track. And I mean, I don't know if Claire's on, I'm not open to discuss this, but from my perspective, you know, we're still okay with timing.
Okay.
Claire, is Claire on?
Claire, are you there? And your thoughts, Claire? Are we on schedule-ish?
I'm sorry, I was redirected, so to speak. What was the question?
My question, I asked if where we said we were concerned about the schedule becoming tight as to draft ready for town meeting in March.
Right.
I said, do we want to just revise it to say for town meeting and take out the March part, or then Julie said she thinks we're pretty much on track to meet our timeline, so we don't have to be as concerned. I just want to make sure that we aren't concerned. Are we concerned?
I mean, if town meeting was going to be held in March, we're in big trouble.
Yeah.
We can figure that out. And one of the things that I have to present is kind of taking a peek at how much left. Since now, when Lisa said last night that the town meeting would not be happening in March, it really does give, it threw a lifeline to this whole project.
Okay. So with it not happening in March and happening later, we should be still on schedule. We don't have to say that we're concerned about the schedule yet.
Well, to tell you, I don't mean to sound negative, but
it's tight.
At the rate, no, it isn't. If it was going to be held in May, it would be fine. I will be very honest, and anybody who can figure out scheduling, at the rate this project has been going, we would not even make, if that continued rate goes on, we wouldn't make May. Sorry, but that's the way. That's the history.
Okay.
But May is very doable if people stick to a schedule. And that means all committees.
Maybe we'll hold that off till the next newsletter then, but I'll take anybody's thoughts on that. I mean, I'd like to keep, I'm obviously concerned that we make town meeting or as close to as soon as, I mean, just I just don't want to say we're concerned about becoming tight.
Yeah, I've been concerned that, I mean, obviously it was 50-50 whether March town meeting was going to take place. And when the original schedule was put together, we were supposed to have had the first public hearing in December. That slipped to January, which was fine. Okay, there was a little slack in the schedule. Right now we're in the middle of January. We still do not have one document.
Yeah. Well, I know Lisa was working on the other day, and that it's posted today for their packet. I thought we were going to see it before, but I guess not. So I know that it'll probably be different than we were thinking, but I'm hoping that it's done. And I think Julie, Claire, I'm sure you guys talked to her. It was pretty much just what we had agreed on at the 11/24 meeting. Is that correct, Julie? That's the document she was combining. And if it is just a document from 11/24, I mean, that concerns me because now it's almost 2 months later and it's just the information that was in there from 6-7 weeks ago. So hopefully, it'll be complete enough that we won't have to make too many revisions to it, and they won't, or they'll agree to do it, and we can make the changes at the hearings. But 6 weeks to put a document together from Judy. That's a bit of time. So I understand you guys' frustration.
Well, it's not. I mean, it's not quite that simple. That just Judy has been working. She has been mostly pretty responsive. We've had the holidays, and
on the 27th from November 24th. That's a while back.
Yeah,
that's a while back. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think what is going to be presented on Tuesday is going to be, very, very close to what we agreed upon and what is final.
All the other committees and all that. So hopefully it'll be a good collaborative one that goes through, and that's a good working document to start from, which is great. Yeah. I understand that, but.
Hey, folks, take a peek in at the package that was posted for the selectmen's meeting. There is no document in there.
There isn't?
No.
So when we spoke with Lisa last night, she was still working on it based on that feedback that she was having, because there was one discrepancy between something that Adam had said versus something that Judy had said, and there was, I think, just a little bit of a miscommunication or misunderstanding. So Lisa was working with both of them to reconcile it. So what she told us on the phone last night was that she was waiting to hear back from them on that one issue before submitting it, but they are going to be talking about it on Monday. So she is going to be submitting it today. And she said if she couldn't get the answer today, she would submit it anyway. Then they'll talk about it at the meeting. So I know it's
regardless, it's getting voted on at Tuesday's meeting.
Tuesday's meeting, sorry.
So it's not going to get put off because it's not in the packet.
She can still add it today, I think, right?
I don't know. I'm just making sure that it's not going to get put off another 2 weeks.
No, they're planning on talking about it on Tuesday. She was pretty clear about that yesterday. I'd be shocked if it got moved. So I'm less concerned about the timing. I think we're doing okay with timing. It's there has been a lot of back and forth going on. I'm not that worried about it.
As long as we're doing okay on time, and it's a document that what I'm hopeful for is the document is pretty much what planning was amenable to, the selectmen were amenable to, we're all amenable. It's a collaborative document. If it's coming out, it's relatively on time, and we can still work with it. And just obviously, it sounds like we're going to have to babysit up pretty good on moving forward on time wise, and be very cautious that way.
Yeah,
but that sounds like we're moving in the right direction. That makes me happy.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Claire and I spoke with Lisa for over an hour yesterday, and I came out of the conversation feeling pretty positive, and I thought it was a good conversation and that things seem to be on track. I'm not concerned.
Okay.
Good. I just want to. I know I'm not officially involved in the zoning, but I think this is like the third time that we are actually that the town meeting has been postponed, which works in our favor because otherwise we would not have been ready. And I think instead of trying to work towards the next town meeting, people need to just start working on the project and make it move forward. Because I feel right now every little change or every next approval takes at least a month. To be honest, the Board of Selectmen were going to vote on a final draft at their last meeting, which was 2 weeks ago, and they didn't have anything together. And now they're still scrambling to get something together. Personally, if I look at, we had all that information in November before Thanksgiving. So maybe this is how the town government works. But I think it's unacceptable for every little, even for the information packet. We had that end of November, and now I got the email that they wanted some changes, which were, it's nothing. They're just a few changes, but again, it takes 1 whole month to just make a few changes and vote again. We could have gotten this information to residents 2 months ago. So everything is really going at a very, very, very slow pace. And I think people need to start seeing the urgency of it. residents are wondering like what is going on. We've been working on this for years. I'm getting frustrated, and the bottom line is that we need to report to our grant, the people we get the grant from, and if we don't get something done, then it might be very difficult to get future grants. So I think that's what people need to keep in mind. So I'm not that confident, and I mean I'm usually very patient, but I think this is going way too slow. That's my comment.
I do appreciate your concern. I think there's, I think there are reasons for certain things, and, for me personally, I put a lot of time into this, but, I have a full-time job also, as do many of the, most of these are volunteer positions, and sometimes stuff gets delayed, and I completely understand your frustration, and I completely understand, the concerns and the questions of the resident. We talked today about, we talked yesterday about the information to the residents, and that's something else we can talk about today at our meeting. That's gonna go out soon too. We're getting approval for that. So I do understand your frustrations, and part of me thinks it's just, unfortunately this is kind of just how it is. And I think last week there were some complicating factors. Lisa was sick, there was stuff going on. But I think we're here, and we're in a much better place than we were. And, I get it. I'm frustrated too. I've been working on this for 3 years, but I do see, I do feel like in the past few months, we've really come to a better place, and that we have a good path forward, and that we're on it. And I think that we can get it done in a pretty timely fashion for town government. I mean, I get it. I work in the private sector. Like this, I understand the frustration of the speed of it, but I still think we're going to get it done, and it's going to be something that'll be good for the town, and it'll be, a good win for our committee for all the work that we've done.
And the current iteration's been through everybody that we want to have their eyes on it, correct?
Yeah, I mean, so no one's seen this one yet, but it's going to be a compilation of sort of the Kumbaya meeting we had, and yes, back 6 weeks ago, but it, it's going to be a compilation of that with, notes from there and conversations back and forth that have happened since then. And that's what we're going to vote on, or that's the board's going to vote on Tuesday.
I'm assuming that it's Claire that's saying she can't raise her hand as Susan, because Suzanne,
correct.
I can see
that was confusing to me too.
So Claire, once they're finished Mike's comment, you can make your comment.
Good. Yeah, I was also going to say Claire's got a question.
Thank you. Appreciate it. A couple things. One, I would like to totally support everything that Marika says. Two, with all respect, Julie, I have a completely different understanding of the conversation last night. And my understanding is that at Tuesday's meeting, the resident package is going to be voted on, and a date for the public hearing is going to be decided on. If I did not hear anything that said that there was going to be one document for the Board of Selectmen to vote on at Tuesday's meeting.
Yeah, isn't that was the whole point? That's why the vote was delayed last time.
I understand that, but I don't think Lisa is going to have that document, the one document that we've been talking about for Tuesday's meeing.
I think she is.
We ought to get that straightened out, because that was not my understanding.
Yeah, no, she was just waiting. Remember, she was talking about that one issue in that last section of whether it was going to be a subsection or a completely separate section, and there was a discrepancy between what Judy and Adam had suggested, and Adam and Judy were supposed to connect yesterday and get back to Lisa, and that's what she was waiting on.
Right, I understand that, that's correct.
And then she was going to submit it. I don't know what the deadline is for submitting it, but that was the whole point of our conversation, I think, was that they're going to vote on a document on Tuesday to move forward.
Well, okay, I hope that you're right and that my understanding is correct. But I know that they are going to vote on the package so that there is something that can be presented at the forum, which kind of looks like it would be a Tuesday in between selectmen's meetings. It can't be. One of the recommendations that I made is that there's too much information and too much to be discussed to try to squeeze it into an already existing packed selectmen's agenda. And the other thing that I strongly suggested, because of the way this thing has gone back and forth, is that Adam is the zoning lawyer. So when it comes to things that they're discussing, where should this be? Where should it be placed? Adam is the zoning lawyer and Judy is the planner. So that there's some things that have delayed our schedule because the two of them have their busy schedules, and we know how that's held us up in the past. So the point is that, as Marika said, the more that these things get delayed, it just delays the whole project. And yes, there is time for May.
Well,
If the schedule is stuck to.
If I could jump in here, from past experience, I know anything having to do with zoning, if people do not want it, what they will do is they will slow play it. And if someone decides to slow play it, you're not going to make the timeline, which is where I think I share a little bit of the concern with Claire. But I see Julie's point about the language. Perhaps we make it a little bit more, from a word choice perspective, something a little bit more active. Rather than the EDC is concerned, it could be the EDC wants to maintain momentum leading into Springtown meetings so we meet all deadlines. That addresses Claire's concerns about the timing, but also makes us seem like we're taking an active role, because I don't want it to, the language as it is makes it seem like we're less enthusiastic because we have this concern. But we also have to be aware that timing is vitally important to making sure we get this to town meeting. And if the planning board chooses to push off public hearings and their votes and the Board of Selectmen, and we don't make it, we've missed a huge opportunity. So I'm kind of with Julie about maybe changing the language, but still make sure we reference the fact that timing is important.
I agree.
It's really important.
I agree.
Rob, I think that's a good compromise, and I think you struck sort of the heart of my concern. Like, I just don't want it to come across as negative. Obviously, we've all been working very hard. I completely understand our frustrations. I think they're totally fair. But again, here we are. We've come a long way in a relatively short time in the pace of how towns stuff like this works. Like, I know that's, I believe me, that's how I operate in my other job either. But, there are a lot of committees there, there's a lot of coordination happening. And yeah, so, if it takes every person who needs to see it 1 or 2 days to respond, then all of a sudden you're 2 weeks later. Like, there's just a lot of moving parts and a lot of people. And for a lot of these people, this isn't their first, not that economic is my first priority, but, it doesn't pay my mortgage. So, for a lot of these people, it's a couple days for each person adds up. So, I think it's okay. We're still going to have public hearings really soon. I haven't looked at the planning board agenda, but I think if it's approved by the Board of Selectmen on Tuesday, then it can happen in the next, few weeks. We can start the session. So, and also we can discuss on having a forum, which I think is a great idea. So I think we're still more than on track, and but I agree. We want to make sure. I like that compromise. I'll leave it at that. I think that hits it correctly.
All right, so we're going to amend it to say that we have concerns, but not
concerned. I would just say we want to contain. We want to keep them. We're looking. We want to keep momentum going. We're with the public forum and scheduling the public hearing so that we're ready for our spring town meeting.
Yeah, I see Claire's putting continue the momentum. I like that. What's nice is we've already got pretty much the information packet done that Marika did back in November. So that's ready to pretty much roll with the changes. If we need to figure out what to do for something to get notification out to everybody in town again. Because I know before people were saying, when we had a couple of forums before, oh, I didn't know when we just sent out electronic things, and I'll go door to door and drop these off. I don't care.
I think that's great. And so I said,
I don't want anybody to come to this forum and say, well, I wasn't aware of this. I didn't know that. I don't want anybody
I 100% agree. Yeah.
I wish we had gotten this information out weeks ago. I feel, it's been delayed, and it was ready to go weeks ago, but, it wasn't ready for prime time. It's a couple of changes that people did disagree with. That's fine. But now that they've made those edits, let's get this rolling. And then it's up to us to start the grassroots effort of making people come. We can talk I'll let you talk to the selectmen. I'm assuming that's going to have to be some sort of collaboration on how they want the information put out. But that's my job. That's what I do for a living.
Yeah, and that's
to circulate this quickly and efficiently.
That's exactly what I said to Lisa last night, that we are ready. We have the information. We have John, who's done this before. We've done this before successfully, and we've done it really quickly. I mean, I remember one of the forums, I think the first time we did sort of a mailer thing, we pulled it off in like less than 48 hours from like idea to having things in people's mailboxes. It was pretty crazy. And so I know we've got everything we need to roll it out really quickly. So my thoughts on that, Marika, I sent you Lisa's suggestions on the packet. So just let me know if you have questions on that. At the last meeting, Sam Stivers was like, let's not get too picky about this. Let's just get it. And Claire brought this up last night. She said, let's just get it out. So yeah, I see Claire's note, all abutters need to be notified.
I don't. I can't see any text or notes on my phone for some reason. I'm having a...
Okay, Claire just said yesterday in the call that all abutters need to be notified, and that's kind of what we're talking about. I said, and whatever we want to do, depending on budget and timing and everything, but I want everyone, whoever wants to come, I'd be up for expanding our reach further than just abutters. In normal times, we would have left information packets at the senior center or the library or the townhouse or Fred Barn Corky or whatever. But obviously, these aren't normal times, so people aren't going to those places or they don't exist. And so, if we can mail it out to more than just abutters, if we have the budget and capacity for that, then I'm great with that too. And I also think we should definitely, make sure it gets posted on myself, or let's let whoever wants to come. The forum was actually Lisa's idea, and I think it's a really good one. So basically her suggestion was to insert something between when the board votes on it and the first public hearing, giving people information about, mostly with that packet that we wanted to do anyway, but instead of just the packet, having a forum to allow people to ask questions, raise any concerns. And I think that'll serve a lot of really good purposes. I think one, it'll kind of give us, if there are any major issues that for some reason we weren't thinking about or we hadn't seen, maybe that's where they would be raised before it gets to public meeting, before it gets to the public hearing. So we can, either be ready to address them, or if tweaks need to be made, it'll give us an opportunity to be prepared for that. And it just, it goes back to our core of trying to be as transparent on this as possible. and, just being able to present it, give some more of the background that we've, all the work that's gone into getting to this place, and, highlighting what some of the changes are. This forum would actually be hosted probably jointly between us and the Board of Selectmen, although I think the Board of Selectmen would be sort of the lead on it, and I think that's how we want it, because this is their article. I said, well, what about planning? And Lisa said, we'll definitely invite planning to participate, and if they want to be a host as well, but they haven't taken a formal position. I am a little bit concerned because we haven't heard from all the planning board members. Only 3 of the members have been regularly at the meetings, and took a position when we went through sort of line by line and talked about it. So, so I'm not sure where Jesse or where Andrew stands on some of these issues. So I wish we knew more about that, and I'm not sure the best way to go about reaching out to some of those folks to kind of see where they stand on those issues. But I hope that they will continue to support it and be active participants in it. I'll work with Lisa, and we'll see the best way to kind of start to reach out to some of the planning board members about the forum and their role there, however they want that to be. But I think the combination of the materials that Marika put together, which are really strong, and the forum that'll be hosted by EDC, by BOS with us, I think is really good. So no date's been set. So the one piece, the one slight holdup on the actually putting the information packet out to the public would be, I would like to include a date and time for the public forum in that packet. And I think that hopefully on Tuesday they'll set that. So maybe if we can sort of have everything else ready to go and just pop in a date on Tuesday, then we can run with it right from there, if that makes sense to people.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is, sorry, wouldn't we need the final bylaw before we can send it out? Right?
Well, yeah, on Tuesday we'll have that, hopefully what is voted on. Yes, that's a good point. What it's voted on by Board of Selectmen to attach to it as well. Yeah.
Okay.
So to reach out to the whole town, it would be probably more cost effective to do the same thing we had done before that Claire hated doing, the EDM, which is door direct mail. It could be like a postcard size, a little bit bigger, and you could have a lot of things and saying it, and it could say if you would like our information packet, reach out to Marika. So too many of information packets, and save some money that way and give out to people who actually want them instead of having them sitting around, and print them as needed. Do like 50 or 100 of them, or so we can give them to the butters, the main information packet, and then reach out to with the EDDM for people to do that. You can talk to Lisa and the Board of Selectmen again. I understand that if it's their forum, they're going to want to do things a certain way, but that could feasibly be in the mail. If they approve it on Tuesday, we could feasibly have this in the mail on Wednesday to every door in town. Wow. And then we could get the information packets out to the abutters, by other different ways. We'll have to figure that one out, but we could at least have the whole town notified that this is it, because I know Lisa's big thing is transparency, and I love that. And reaching out to the whole town is as transparent as you can get. And there's a as we learned at a couple of our other forums years ago, there's a lot of people in town that aren't online or don't have that ability or that want to get online. So we had people come to our forum and say, well, we didn't know. So then after that, we had pretty good attendance. So I think
that made a huge difference. That was one of the best things we've done. Yeah, so just to be clear, what you're saying, John, is do the mail drop, the postcard, have that pretty much prepared and ready to go, drop a date in, and send that out on Wednesday for everybody in town, and then target with information on how to get the packet, maybe a link to the packet and or where to pick one up or call to get one, and then also provide all of the abutters with the actual packet separately.
I think that'd be a great idea. But again, if this is a Board of Selectmen forum, we should make sure that's okay with them. I don't want to step on any toes. That's just the most efficient way to do it, and it's probably the most cost-effective way as well.
I think that makes perfect sense. And honestly, I'll certainly happy to run it by Lisa, but that's all kind of in line with what we were talking about yesterday. And I'm sure that's not going to be an issue.
But, I don't assume. Let's just make sure.
Yeah.
But I think, but that would definitely be the most cost effective and efficient way to reach as many people as possible.
Yep.
So did we actually, I got lost in this conversation. Did we actually vote on Marika's annual report? Yeah.
That was all the discussion of it.
This is all still in the discussion. So
Really of the newsletter, I believe, wasn't it?
okay, so we're still in the discussion on the newsletter. So we're going to change that to keep the momentum as such. Any other changes on that? Getting back to full circle. All right. So do I have a motion to accept the EDC newsletter with that change on the schedule, the concern of the schedule for the newsletter for meeting town meeting on that?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Julie, you're up first. I can see you. Julie?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Suzanne?
Yes.
And myself, yes. And again, Marika, great job on that. All right. Moving on. I actually got the right agenda.
Yes, so now it's two reports, John.
Yep.
Now you can do
I
your
found
reports.
that. So we have EDC priorities on the front of the chairman's report, which is pretty much, you guys have all seen it. We have the same thing we on there before. The downtown initiative, business outreach, business development, local business support, economic development counterparts, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to table most of this discussion because we were just talking the other one for an hour. But I will say, I do want to bring up on that my priority is Route 9 business and trying to get more business in town and keep what we have, because the projection after COVID is kind of terrifying. And with potentially, was it like 9% tax increase this year? This is more important than ever that we have an active EDC. Marika set up a meeting last week. There's a person that's interested in buying 200 Turnpike Road, which is kind of, if you're at that transfer station and you're going by the recycle plant, you can see the building behind that. It's on Turnpike Road, but you access it through Middle Road, and it's zoned a little bit different. So Marika set up a meeting with Karina, myself, Marika, the gentleman that's interested in buying the building, John, and the chair of the ZBA, and we had a pre-meeting that this guy, he has over 500 employees. He wants to buy the building for like $1.3 million and then do a bunch of renovations to it. It's top-notch business. Karina was awesome. She answered every question, and she didn't sugarcoat anything. She said, this is how long the process could take, blah, 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 blah. So it went very well, and it looks like he's reached out to an engineer. That's what I'll let Marika touch base a little bit more on that. And we're going to be trying to move forward with more meetings to make sure that things are going well. But these are the things we need to keep doing. And one of the things that struck me as odd, and I still haven't, so I'm going to have the verbiage on this wrong. So this particular building at 200 is zoned business highway, and the other buildings that abut to it are all commercial business or industrial business, something like that. So I just need to understand. I was asking Karina, why is that? She didn't know either. But it's things like that. I want to just look into. I'm going to reach out to the planning board and just ask the zoning questions if there's anything that stands out on Route 9. But this guy's going to have to get a special permit to do what he needs to do. But everybody seemed like at the meeting it was a doable thing and it wasn't that big a deal. But I'd like to try to reach out and find out if there's any zoning issues on Route 9, or if anybody in this committee knows of any other zoning issues on Route 9, east or west, that may affect keeping businesses or flexibility of businesses. Because now we don't have the use variance anymore. So before that would have just been a use variance for planning. Now it's going to be a special permit to ZBA is how I understand it. So moving forward on Route 9, I'm just trying to get a gauge on what could be the limitations for businesses besides, we talked about the tips in the past and things like that. So Marika's been setting up meetings with different contractors and businesses on Route 9 for us over the next few weeks that Rob and myself and Marika will attend and find out about, whether they think the tips and other things that'll help them. So we're moving in the right direction on that. And as we find things out and I need more help, trust me, I will reach out to whoever I think can benefit us on this, in this committee and outside of the committee. But I think this year is going to be a very important year to really, really focus on Route 9 again. So that's it from my report on that. And I will read that over to any members that have any reports they want to talk about or go through. Anybody that's had any interest, that's reached out to other committees, attended other committee meetings, or heard about things in town going around?
I was at the master plan committee meeting this week. Not a lot to report, but they are, they're moving forward. They've actually, made a lot of progress. The section that is, pertains to our work, both to downtown and to some of the other economic development areas that we're talking about, like Route 9 and the other villages, Corderville and Southville and Bayville. It's right in line with our priorities. So, and they're putting in, they have acknowledged and recognized that in the past, a lot of the plans have a lot of the to-do items have kind of been shelved. So they're putting together a plan for some accountability and to make sure that the items actually get done. I did bring up the idea to add, because they were talking about, incentivizing businesses and things like that. I did mention tips as sort of one of the tools that we might have available to explore and use in the future for bringing in businesses, particularly along Route 9. And just, I'm not the expert on it, but I took some of the knowledge I've gotten from Rob and from our conversation a couple of weeks ago, and just sort of broached the subject. So, they seemed very receptive to that. There are a few questions, and there's definitely a bit of that undertone of the misconception that a lot of us had, that tips means that, it's a freebie, which it's not. So I think Sam was helpful in expressing that too, that, that it's something that's could be a win-win if used properly. So that's my only update. It was a good meeting. It was a good conversation, and they're moving forward. They're getting it done. So it was all good. That's all I got.
Anybody else? Any other members have anything they want to bring up or talk about? Okay, moving on. Project manager Claire, going to give a report on the fourth quarter EEA grant status as well as the wastewater feasibility. So, Claire.
So what I did was I updated the schedule. One of the things that I have to do on that status is I put in what was done during the quarter that I'm reporting on. So the fourth quarter is September through, is October through December of 2020. And in order, I can bring it up if you want to see it, but in order to not make it look like zoning has slipped, has slipped as much. What I'm going to do is update it with information that Lisa talked about last night in terms of what the plan is going to be. The key factor that is going to make us look not as bad is because town meeting has moved. So in other words, there was an exact schedule with dates in it in terms of when the public hearing was going to be held, the second public hearing, the third, if possible, when planning would vote on it, and then the selectmen. Those all had dates assigned to them, which were in line with the March town meeting. Now, because March town meeting has slipped and there's no new dates, I just put in there that the town meeting has changed, which gives some flexibility in the schedule. So I'll have that wrapped up over the weekend. I'll send it out to you guys and send it to the EEA people. By the way, I did receive a very nice note from him saying that he appreciated the thoroughness of the reports that I have sent in the past. And the other thing is with the feasibility study, that has to be scheduled on the Board of Selectmen's meeting. They're the ones that I checked with Laurie, and they're the ones that have to actually vote. So we've got one from Weston and Sampson and one from Tig and Bond. I hear from, I don't know if I told you this guy before. I had asked Brian Shea if he could help out in terms of, saying which one would be the better one to go. And because of his conflict, he said that both firms were very, very good firms to choose from. So I'll package it up for the selectmen, and they should be able to get it on their first February agenda.
Okay.
Other questions?
Done?
That's great, Claire.
No, excuse me.
Just one other thing, John, when you were talking about on the thing over on 200 Turnpike, did you see the note that I put in about what we did before in answer to your question about I put it in the, I'm sorry, you can't see chat.
I'm sorry, I can't.
Just one quick thing. Your suggestion was excellent in terms of dealing with whoever this potential buyer is. We did something similar to that back in February of, I think it was 19, when Capital Group Properties wanted to expand because RX Advance up by the Red Roof Inn wanted to put a huge addition on. So what we did was we got all the boards together in a meeting. It wasn't anything, there were no quorums or anything. It just got everybody together. Bill DePietri was there because he was the one who wanted to do it. And essentially what it was is if you have a problem with it, let's get that problem out now. And so that we don't, so to speak, string this potential buyer along. And then all of a sudden at the 11th hour, somebody pulls something out. So we did that before, and it was really very good. It turned out that RX Advance moved to Route 9, and they didn't do the expansion. But anyway, that had been done before. So I just wanted to put that in there.
Yeah, I think that's kind of why Marika did it. You remember the success of that before, or maybe not. But also, Marika's got a really good questionnaire together from before from the different businesses as well. So I think as long as we're active on it, and I think the meetings we're going to be having moving forward in the next week or two, they're going to be on Zoom. But as long as we start, letting the business owners know that Sutler's open for business and we're here to help and do what we can, I think that message has been received to different people, because we're getting calls. Marika's getting calls in now for help with this, and it's great. So kudos to everybody. And, Marika, Claire, if that's all you have for the project manager, Marika, you're up next for your coordinator report.
Yes, I'll just keep it short. I guess I send you all a update. I don't even know what day it is today. Beginning of the week with things I'm doing. Most important, I've been trying to inform. I guess I posted it on the website, on Facebook, to inform businesses, especially restaurants, of a small business relief grant that was open for application. It's actually applications are closing today, but I notified everyone and urged them to at least apply. And I'll keep looking out for information and getting it out there as much as I can, to assist businesses. And otherwise, I'm setting up meetings with real estate owners, developers along Route 9, what John spoke about, to just kind of get their input on how to improve things along Route 9 and their thoughts about TIF. And I think John, Rob, I think it's a good idea if we beforehand have a bit of an idea of what we want to achieve with these meetings. So and then we can use that for our next presentation about Route 9 and how we can improve things. So, and then thank you, Suzanne, for the information about vacancy rates. I'm going to put something together. I also just saw Chris forwarded me a report by Holmes Real Estate, their fourth quarter report. I think I'll send out something to all of you. Sorry, Suzanne.
I'll flip you a whole bunch of stuff. I just released like a boatload of stuff in the last 2 days.
Yeah.
Hence why I had to go on mute because my email's been going off like crazy. I'll send you our Q4 reports and then a bigger outlook report that we just did that includes some color about the office and industrial markets going forward.
Yes, and I think maybe I'll use all of that for my next newsletter in February to kind of inform the town of that situation. So, and that's it, I think.
Okay. Downtown Business Village, moving on then. Downtown Village visit, that discussion and vote. I think we've talked about this earlier. Do we want to keep talking about this real quick?
Yeah, just a couple little things to add, and there's not much because we've already gone through most of it. So I just want to make sure everyone's on board with the forum. I don't know if we have to vote on that or anything. I mean, I think Board of Selectmen's going to do it anyway, but I assume I'd love to hear people's thoughts on it or suggestions if you think it's a good idea. Any other discussion on having the forum before the public meeting, for the public hearing, I mean.
I think it's a great idea. I think the more information that we can get out, the better. The more people we can reach, the better prior to it. So I'm all for the forum. I think it's a great idea. I thought we were planning on doing them anyway. When we initially started doing it before the selectmen kind of took charge. So
yeah, and at the very least, we know this from our years of town involvement in different ways. There's always going to be people come in at the last minute and say, I didn't know anything about this. So whatever we can do to stave that off and to give people an opportunity to make sure they understand what's going on, even if they're not joining our meetings on a regular basis or following the town blog or whatever, however else, by both putting in the mailboxes, putting it online, and giving people an opportunity to join us virtually for a conversation about it, I think is great. And then when it goes to town meeting, if people say, I didn't know, we can at least say, hey, we put it forth our best effort to inform you. So.
Absolutely. Now,
Mike?
I was just going to ask, are we talking?
Be able to? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Michael.
I was just going to ask, are we talking about doing like a Zoom forum? Or
I think it has to be at this point.
It's got to be, right?
Yeah, and Lisa ran the date the Tuesday after next one, which I think is the 26th, as a possibility. She said just because she knows that usually there's a room held every Tuesday, a Zoom room held every Tuesday. So she, that was just a date she floated. It hasn't been decided, but does that generally work for people?
I'll make it work.
Okay. And I'm curious to see what attendance looks like over Zoom versus, versus having to come out somewhere during the week. I wonder if it'll be different at all. But yeah. And then Marika, we can kind of work on putting, I think probably it'll be easy to put together slides because a lot of it's just going to be similar to what's already in the packet anyway, in the residential packet, right? You're on mute.
Yeah, shouldn't be too hard. Yeah, we have everything. It's just a matter of
putting it in a little different format. I think that's great. So I don't know if we want to try to reach out to some folks on planning and touch base with them or not. But maybe we should consider that just because I'm not sure, we seem to have some pretty good support from me and Marnie and mostly from Don, except I'm concerned about the one issue that Don seemed hesitant on was whether or not was the whole issue of having certain rights that are by right that don't need to go through planning board's approval. And I think that's, a huge factor, and it's sort of kind of the foundation of why this is important. So I'm hoping he can get comfortable with that. And I don't know where Jesse or Andrew stand on that issue, but I think that's going to be one that we want to really hone in on and address during the public forum, because that's going to be the one where we'll, be more active leaders in than the public hearing. And just to be clear, the narrative on that, and, Judy was excellent in framing this for me. So, right now, everything has to go through the planning board for use. And the way that, and a lot of people feel like that's a more protective stance because, the planning board can make a decision, whether or not they think it's an appropriate use of the space for downtown or for wherever they're operating. But if we're thinking about preserving what we want in town for 50 years, then you codify it instead of giving discretion to board members or committee members who will be turning over every few years. So if you really want to preserve your downtown, you figure out what you want and you codify it, and you make it easier for people to come in and do the things we want to do. So that's, I think one thing that we're going to have to talk about. One other piece that came up last night, I know it looks, I don't know if Claire is still on, but Claire raised a really great point, and that is the design guidelines. And I know it's not something we've forgotten about. I know we've put together a draft already, but the way it's sort of been discussed is, there's the two pieces. There's a zoning bylaw, which has to go through town meeting. And then the zoning bylaw will enable the either planning board, how it's done in a lot of towns, or some other group to put forth as design guidelines. The reason for keeping them separate is because design guidelines, we want to be a little bit more malleable and perhaps change as times and styles and things change. For example, I think mixed use is the best example of that. The mixed use, that's something that's new right now, or maybe it's not the best example, sorry, but having, things change priorities and focus. Planning board's been really focused on things like lighting and native plants and things like that, but those things change over time. And so and styles and building materials, especially when we're talking about and thinking about sustainability and things like that, those are going to change in 5 or 10 years, what the priorities are. And having it as a separate document in the design guidelines, as opposed to being in the zoning bylaw, will make it easier to modify with the times a little bit. But the question is, when we're bringing this in front of town meeting, people see, the zoning bylaws got to come first, but what people envision for the town is actually going to be in the design guidelines, what they're actually going to see. So we don't want to kick that can down the road. So we want to address that now. So that's something that we talked about a little bit with Lisa last night, and how that gets handled, and that we don't want to get to town meeting and have this great zoning bylaw, but people say, well, but we don't have design guidelines. So that's another piece that we need to make sure we're addressing with the planning board as well. And, I'm hoping that they'll start with what we've put together, and we need to discuss whether it's really definitely going to be the planning board that's going to be in charge of that. And I agree, that's one area that I want to make sure we stay on top of as well, so that we're ready to talk about it during the hearing and the forum and the hearing and at town meeting. So, yes, Marika.
So yeah, I totally agree, because I had I spoke to a business, and that was exactly the concern. And I'm thinking there'll be more people who are kind of hesitant about this whole new zoning bylaw, is to ensure that it doesn't become some kind of an area which is like any other commercial area, right? And so I explained that that's why we have design guidelines, to ensure that whatever new is built, that it kind of fits in with the whole historic character of downtown, and that the EDC also recognizes that the historic feel of it is actually is one of the strengths of downtown, and we want to do this because we want to maintain that and not lose it, right? I think it's really important, even if it's just a draft, even have that document available for people to kind of look into and see what we mean by design guidelines, because I think it's hard to understand what we mean by it, and so they can also see that we do look at materials and the looks of buildings, and hopefully that'll give them some more confidence that we're doing it in a way that fits in with the current downtown.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. Can you recirculate the draft of the design guidelines? I just want to make sure. I'm going to resend it to Lisa and just say, how do we want to start moving forward on this piece of it? Because you're right. The concern is that that people the design guidelines are the part that people envision, and I don't want to get to town meeting and then say, well, this doesn't mean anything without design guidelines. And also, we don't want to be in a position where, if we get to town meeting and we have a bylaw but no design guidelines, and the bylaw keeps saying, okay, well, this will be done in conjunction, in accordance to the design guidelines, but there's none there. We can't be in a position where there's no design guidelines, right? So we'll either have to delay the effectiveness of the zoning bylaw until there are design guidelines, which then we lose our deadline, and that kind of puts us back in a position where it could, I'd be concerned that it would be dragged out, because I know the planning board they're really busy. They have a full meeting agenda every week, and for them to add on design guidelines, I don't know how timely that would be done. So does it make sense that this is a strictly planning board purview, or is this something that the Board of Selectmen puts together a small committee to work on with a deadline? I don't know if there's, I think those are things that we need to talk about, and we probably need to talk about soon, to make sure that it stays on track with our vision, with collective vision, and with the timeframes that we're looking at.
So Julie, should we ask, do you want to reach out to planning and ask that, or to the and ask about the lead on that?
I might direct it through Lisa as sort of the Board of Selectmen being the ones, leading the charge on this, but have her maybe recirculate to them as just something we've put together as a very rough, draft based on what we've seen in other towns and what we think fits with the vision that we've been talking about for 3 years and the renderings we put together and everything else, just as a starting point, and whether she thinks that this is something that should be, and maybe it can be a discussion point at the Board of Selectmen meeting on Tuesday. What's the proper avenue for dealing with this? Is it, planning board, or is it putting together a new temporary committee to come up with the design guidelines? I don't know technically if they would also have to be adopted by planning board. I'm not sure how that works, but there's things we have to think about.
And I don't know if we're getting ahead of ourselves, but say we pass everything and we have developers have to come in and conform to these design guidelines. What's our mechanism for ensuring that they are? Do we as a town need a design review committee? A standing one or something that anybody's got to come in front of. And I don't know that we've addressed that really.
We haven't. It's come up, but we haven't answered the question for sure. Yeah, and I think those are the two possibilities. Either planning board becomes the enforcer of the design guidelines, or there's, as many other communities have, a standing design review committee to make sure that everything's in compliance. I mean, I think, so far in our town, that's, even though we haven't had design guidelines, that kind of stuff falls under planning. But is that the proper path? Is it something that they have the capacity to take on and want to take on, or is it something, or we do set up something else?
Yeah, personally, I'd say we don't put it on them. We vet it out separately from them and give it to them vetted. A design review. a developer that's been reviewed through the town design review committee, and then that goes to the planning board. I think it's a lot to put on planning board.
So it goes to the design guidelines first with the design review board stamp for approval.
Yeah, and then that goes to planning and say, hey, we certify or we confirm that this project that has met the design guidelines or that we're at least comfortable with what they're presenting. Yeah, but again, I know that's down the road, I think.
No, but it's important because these are the questions that are come up, and at the end of the day, the goal is to have a something that allows somebody to do a project, and these are the pieces that we need answers on to do that. So
right, we gotta have a way to execute it. So.
Exactly. Okay, I'll put together an email to Lisa on those points as soon as we get off the phone. Yeah, and if Marika, you can just send me the draft, then I'll attach that too. Thank you. All right, that's all I have on downtown. So I think we should just, after Tuesday, touch base real quick and finalize, or Marika, any drafts that you have before that, feel free to share with me. Tuesday's going to come quick because Monday's a holiday, but I'll check it over the weekend, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. I'll send you the draft design guidelines, and I'll send you the edited information packet. It's not a lot of work. So.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Marika. And then, after that, we can start working on the presentation. I'm sure obviously boards like one input on that since it's their show, but we've got, Lisa had very supportive things to say about you're just awesome at putting these presentations together, and we already have all the information basically from the packet. So I think this will be great. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else on Downtown Village?
No.
All right. Any unfinished business? None. Moving on to new business. A couple of quick announcements. In case you didn't know, yesterday was Marika's birthday.
Happy birthday.
And also, a little birdie just told me, congratulations are in order to Julie. I heard you made partner. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So that's big news. That's big stuff here. So anyway.
And Suzanne was listed in, you're going to have to help me out. Suzanne was listed in one of the top 10 most influential women. What was it?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. Suzanne got a big award too.
Suzanne, that's 2 years in a row, isn't it?
I know. My husband's not happy.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Wow. See, I like hearing this stuff at the end of the meeting. Good job, guys. Good job. Good committee. All right. I can't see if I have it. Do we have any attendees of public comment?
No, because I guess we didn't have a link. So we traveled.
Oh.
Yes.
So I did one sort of side note. Somebody I know in town, I don't know if any of you guys know Alan Belniak, he had reached out to me about joining EDC. He's been looking to get involved, and he's considering EDC or capital planning. So I spoke to him last week. I connected him with John, and he was going to try to attend the meeting today, but apparently he couldn't. So I'll let him know that that's not his fault and that's not normal. But yeah, I know he was going to try to attend some meetings and was considering applying. His background is in engineering. He's been following the downtown initiative pretty closely and also the EDC generally. Whenever I see him, our girls play soccer together. Whenever I see him, he's always asking. So he's kind of been following it for a while. So and been interested. So. And we spoke a lot about, he asked a lot of questions about time commitment and, different roles he could play. And, he asked some very thoughtful questions, which was very encouraging to me. So I'm not sure if he's applying or not, but hopefully, and if not, hopefully he's getting involved somehow, because I think he'd be a good addition.
I was on another board with him.
You are?
He was on the extended day board for a while.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, he's a nice guy.
He actually just reached out to me this morning, and we're going to talk this weekend.
Okay.
I'm excited to talk to him.
Great.
So thank you. Anybody that's interested in joining our committee or any other vacancies, it's always nice to see new faces, instead of the same people on every committee. Different views are always great. So anyway, do we have anything else? I just lost the agenda. All right, so we've gone through unfinished business, new business, public comment. I don't see anything else. Do I have a I do. I see a finger.
Do we want to set up an EDC meeting just kind of every 2 weeks?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do.
So I don't know if you want to stick to Friday mornings this time, or you want to do the Thursday evenings. That's kind of the.
What's easier for people that are acting as parents, teachers, and employees and workers? So I defer to them. Whatever's
I usually say between like midnight and 2 a.m.
That's what I was gonna say.
I still can't even imagine how you guys are weathering this storm. It's just crazy. It's
My house looks like a bomb went off.
Same. So. I was spoiled for the last 2 weeks because our summer, the girl who had nanny for us this summer was home from college, and so we all got tested, and she was helping out this week and last week, and I had a little taste of almost normalcy, of all the background noise, and now she's back to school and I'm stuck.
Yeah.
So is Friday mornings okay? Evenings? What's easiest for you guys with kids? Young kids.
Thursday nights are turning into be lately for me. Just because the kids are doing a bunch of things when they can. So
Friday mornings are okay.
I feel like I'm running in every direction.
Yeah, Friday mornings are okay for me usually.
Yeah, for the most part.
Friday mornings work for me as well.
Okay.
So I'll just set one up for I guess January 29th, 8:15.
My only thought, Marika, is that we might have the forum that Tuesday, the 26th.
So we can do the Friday before.
So do we want? But that would be next Friday.
It's next week, yeah. And
Are
we going to know about the forum by Tuesday? We're going to know.
I think it's great, but to be honest, I think it's pretty tight if the Board of Selectmen have to approve this and that. So that will be Tuesday. But anyway, we can try to meet on the 22nd. We'll see. I'll just put it in, I guess, for next week, and then we can.
Tentatively, yeah. Better to have it not need it than need it and not have it.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, unless it's just at the same time. I mean. Do we need a formal full group meeting to prepare for the forum or not? That's the other question. Maybe we don't. Maybe it's just, I don't know.
I don't understand what the working groups are and the parameters of this. And if we have to discuss sending out a
mailer,
either an EDDM or a information pack, I think we should really have a meeting to talk about it just to be safe.
Well, but on that thought, so John, if Board of Selectmen's meeting on Tuesday, and then the following Tuesday we want to have the forum, you were saying that you could, you thought we could get out mailers on Wednesday. So or Thursday, which I think we would kind of need to do. If we're waiting to vote on it on Friday, people aren't going to get them till Monday or Tuesday.
So basically, I guess I'll take a vote on this now before we adjourn. What I'd like to do is, Marika had already pretty much, we had talked in the past about an information mailer, such a postcard or anything, just to give people links, because we didn't have the ability to send out the information pack because it hadn't been approved. I said, well, we can send out a postcard with links to all the information that's on the Board of Selectmen's website, as well as ours in their packets.
Yeah.
So now what I'd like to do is just maybe have that same kind of a postcard ready and design, Marika. We can talk offline after this a little bit with some content of the forum, the date. We can have a template that we'll just really need to pop the information in about the forum for Tuesday. And that way, Wednesday, when they say it's done, we just pop it. Once they approve it at the Board of Selectmen, we can just pop it in. Does that make sense? Is that something we can do?
Yeah, And I also think, haven't we already, this information packet has been around for, a month now, right? So, or more. And we've already reviewed it, approved it, sent it to the Board of Selectmen. They made their suggestions. Do we need to, we're not going to vote to overrule the Board of Selectmen.
Do that on the information pack. The selectmen don't even need to vote on it again because they've already told us what to change. The information pack isn't the issue. It's a matter of what we put on the postcard, the EDDM, the door drop.
If it's literally just the date and, a link to the materials, is that something we need to vote on?
What's that?
Or is that if it's literally just, please join us at our forum, here's a link to more information, here's the date and time, like, do we need to vote on that? Or can we just say when we have that information, we give you and Marika the authority to put it together?
Okay. Yeah. I don't think we need to vote on that either. So
or can you vote on it now to give you the authority to do it next week?
Okay. All right, do I have a motion to take a vote to allow us to make a save the date card for the forum once it's set up?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right.
Do we have quorum right now?
What's that?
Do we have quorum? We lost Rob.
We lost Rob?
There's 4 of you.
Just 4 of us.
Yeah,
Okay.
we still have a quorum.
Okay.
Yeah, we still have a quorum. All right, so thank you for letting me know, Rob. I didn't see we lost Rob. All right, so we have a motion, and did I have a second? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Yep, second.
Okay, so in favor, roll call vote. Michael?
Can we have a quick discussion real quick?
Yes.
Is the Julie, what's the chance of the forum happening on the 26th? And is that too quick of a turnaround to the public to say on Wednesday, Thursday, we're having a meeting to talk about this and it's next Tuesday? And if you want to join, it's 4 days from now. Is that, we all schedule our lives and we're all sitting at home, but
I was going to say, do you have something else to do?
no, I'm just for normal people, what's the likelihood of the forum happening on the 26th?
Well, the other thing too, that I don't know, and that's why we're sort of delaying putting it out there right now.
Yeah.
Because I want to design them and print them and have it be different, because that date's not, it was just a date that was tossed out. So I think that's a valid point, but at the same time, 1, it'll be recorded, right? Because it's all these things are being recorded. And 2, I think the last time we did it, and John, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think it was a pretty similar, like, hey, we're having this thing in 3 days, and we got good attendance. If people want to come, they're going to come. It's not right now. People tend to not be having, other obligations in the evenings, is my sense.
And if they're interested in it, they're watching, they're ready for it, right?
It'll be on post and everything. That way they see it in their mail too. I don't know about anybody else, but I get excited to walk to my mailbox now. There's people out there. So last time, what it was is when you do an EDDM, what it is it goes to every residence in town. So you drop it off at the post office, and it goes out that day, and it's in it's in everybody's mailbox because it doesn't get sorted. It just goes in literally everybody's post office box, everybody's mailbox, and that's why it's in every door direct mail. So it's really quick. As soon as it's printed, the longest part is how long it would take quick print or another printer to get, however many we have ready and done. Last time it was pretty quick. And if we get it in the mail Wednesday, people will have it Thursday. They'll know about it a few days in advance. And then also, we post it on the blog, our website. I don't know if they'll wind up having it on the 26th or not. I hope they will. But I think that's our best chance. It gets it out there, and then we can deliver the information pack to the abutters, by hand if we have to, put them in their mailboxes or reach out to them that way. So it can be done. I agree with you, Michael. It's pretty quick, but I'd rather if we're going to have the forum on the 26th, I'd rather at least take the shot of letting them know it's out there. And like Julie said, it's recorded. It'll be on Zoom. So they'll be able to watch it afterwards. And if they have any questions, maybe there'll be a follow-up for them, or maybe they'll send their questions to us or prior to the hearing. So I think it's definitely worth getting the information out sooner than later.
No, I agree. I guess my main question was, is the 26th realistic? So
I don't know.
I'll be
That's up to the
cautiously, I'll be optimistic.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if that's a standard time that they have kind of reserved and it's a big room, you know, that they're used to having the selectmen's meeting where there could be a lot of attendees, they, you know, unlike, you know, our meetings where we have, you know, thousands of people in the audience, I think we'll be good.
Okay. That was it for discussion. That was all.
Any
Mike.
more discussion? Okay, I guess I'll do a roll call vote. Julie,
Yes.
Suzanne? Is Suzanne still here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Quiet. Yes.
And myself, yes. So there's no one else here. So that's 4. That's it passes unanimously. And I think that'll be it. Marek, I'll give you a call after in a little while. I got a few emails. About 10:30. Would that work for you if I call you
Yeah.
then?
That's fine.
Okay. Anything else brought properly before the committee? No? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Didn't think so. Roll call. Julie,
Yep.
Suzanne,
Yes.
Michael, and myself. Yes. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. And I will send out, once we get this together, I'll send you a draft of it before Tuesday. And then send it to Lisa and see if she likes it. And then we'll go from there, I guess. So everybody have a wonderful day and a great weekend. Stay safe. And I'll talk to everybody soon.
Thanks, John.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Yeah.
How do I get out of my phone?